So this isn't my normal type of video. This video is really just me saying goodbye to something that's been a huge part of my life ever since I was introduced to the internet. Flash is on its last breath, and soon it'll be gone for good. I know the internet, and I know many things are being archived and preserved, but surely some things are bound to fall through the cracks. And even if they don't, it won't be as easily accessible as it once was. For many of us, Flash games were the first games we ever played. People in my age range have so many memories of playing Flash games in school computer labs when we were supposed to be doing work. Exploring the internet on the home computer for the first time and discovering games like Stick RPG, or Bloons Tower Defense, or Line Rider, or Age of War. Any genre, any art style, any kind of soundtrack, it existed out there. And over the years, you could develop more skills and move on to bigger games. You download Steam or buy a console. And there's the one night that you remember that game you spent 6 hours grinding as a kid. And then you go down the spiral, and it's a wave of nostalgia and you get to relive all these memories. The limited controls means the game will always feel the same when you return. There is no aging well or aging poorly with Flash game controls. Either it was just as bad as it always was, or there's something magical about it. Your finger slides so effortlessly back onto the WASD keys, and without second thought, you know exactly where to click and what keys do what action. Before you know it, it's been 3 hours, and there's about 100 things you should probably be doing, but instead you're Googling a strategy guide because you just can't leave having not beaten this level. One game triggers the memory of another, that one that you can see but just can't remember the name of, and so you Google it, and you end up finding it, along with 3 others you played and enjoyed as a kid. Your list grows and grows, you open multiple tabs. Some are just as fun as they were when you were a kid, some are a lot easier, some really don't look that good anymore. Eventually some big new release comes out and you move on from Flash games. You go back to the console games because that's what everyone else is talking about right now. But you don't feel like your time was wasted. You got to relive some really great memories about what helped shape you as a gamer. And now that hypothetical I just told soon won't be possible. A lot of these games will disappear. Some will become a lot harder to find, and the chances of you randomly stumbling upon them will lessen with each passing day. Soon, the closest you'll get to actually experiencing these games and reliving them again will be through 13-year-old YouTube videos using unregistered Hypercam 2 with Paralyzer by Finger 11 playing in the background. You know the ones. Maybe when I was saying all that you had a specific game in mind, or maybe one of the games I put on screen made you think of another game that you loved as a kid. This is the time to appreciate what these games were, and maybe get to play them for the last time. Flash games never had rules to follow. Large company logo? Use it. Copyrighted game characters? Go for it. Something extremely unpolitically correct that should never be made into a game? It exists, and there's already 3 sequels and a remake out there. Nowadays, if you want your game to get any sort of traction, you're most likely to put it on Steam, where there are strict rules you need to follow. And companies aren't shy to take down fan-made games and lay down massive lawsuits. Intellectual property and the public copyright system cracks down insanely hard nowadays, and almost all of this would be completely impossible to do today. We are seeing the end of an era that will quite literally never exist again. How many people have their careers in game development, animation, or other entertainment mediums thanks to the accessibility of Flash? How many teenagers started learning as a hobby, and eventually that hobby evolved into a passion and career? How many YouTubers and online personalities do we know now, just because of Newgrounds all those years ago? While this can easily turn into a debate about using copyrighted characters and properties, who knows how many people had the technical skills but lacked on the side of story and creativity, so borrowing pre-existing universes was their only way to get into the medium. As I said, things created in Flash will live on. Flashpoint has worked hard to preserve many of these games. Newgrounds has created alternate methods for Flash games and media still to be playable. While not a game site, websites like HomestarRunner.com have made the transition from Flash to YouTube. But there's still many sites out there like Miniclips, Addicting Games, One More Level, all of Neopets. Their future is up in the air. Sites like these just won't exist again. Flash media will live on in alternate forms, but the simple accessibility won't be there anymore. You won't stumble on these, you'll have to look for them. Really, this video is just me saying goodbye, and thank you. Thank you to everyone who made a Flash game. Thank you to everyone who made a website to host these games. Those who gave their sounds or music or resources to it. But not just to the people who created them. Thank you to everyone who has ever shared a Flash game with a friend. To anyone who stayed up way later than they should have just to get past one more level. To those who made guides and tutorials to help us who got stuck. To those who posted tutorials on how to make your own project so that those at home could teach themselves. To those studios who started off as Flash game creators and managed to build something really special and successful out of it. You could easily make the argument that Flash games should have died years ago, that this was a long time coming, but all I ask of you today is to go and appreciate your favorites one last time, in the purest form they were always meant to be in. Whether it's one you remember how to beat front to back, maybe a game you kept getting stuck on and could never beat as a kid, or maybe even find a new game you've never played before. Last year I had a series called Quick Game Quick Thoughts on my channel where I did unscripted talks about some of my favorite Flash games and some I had never played before. While you can't find them by searching, the videos are still on the channel, just unlisted, and the link to the playlist will be in the description. Hear from me directly tell you about my favorite Flash games and why I love them so much. Flash games, thank you for everything. For the countless hours of cheap entertainment, for allowing me not to pay attention in class, for giving me something to do on those late nights when I just couldn't sleep, or those sick days home from school, for giving me games to share with my friends and to try to beat their high score, for giving me games to play with my friends when they couldn't afford consoles or good PCs. Thank you to Flash games for teaching me about internet culture, for showing me what would end up being the first memes I was ever exposed to, for allowing me to try out so many different genres at the click of a mouse so that I could find what games I was truly passionate about. Thank you, Flash games, because when I didn't have time to play long and exciting games with deep stories, you gave me a chance to always come back to play something where I felt right at home. And because of that, thank you for giving me so many incredible games. Without feeling that attachment to them, maybe I wouldn't even been able to have made my first 2 videos here on YouTube. And maybe I wouldn't even be here doing what I love to do. So thank you, Flash games, for making me the gamer that I am today. We'll miss you.